And that was me. That was our beginning, me and Paris. And he locked me out. I didn't take my keys. Did not let me back in. My dad did not know about Paris until after she was born. Imagine if someone took your father away from you or your mother from you. Oh, who do you think you are? Have that. I'd bring home and cry over the phone, cry every week. The hardest part for me was when someone passed away in the nursing home.
Welcome back to the Rubasha Family Podcast. I have a special guest for you guys. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi guys. My name is Wambui. Wambui. I'm Eve's auntie. So Eve's mom, Rose, and I have had a very long friendship. So we've known each other for close to 20 years. And I basically saw Eve grow up. So yeah. Eve is really family to me, and I'm really happy to be here today, Eve.
Yes, let's go. So, yeah, as you guys have heard, I call you Auntie Lois, for those of you guys who know. So I call you Auntie Lois. And like we say, it takes a village to raise a child. And you have been around my life since I was very young. By the way, Auntie, you look even younger since I was about, what, 10 years? No, honestly, what's the secret? What's the secret?
Thanks, Eve. No. Oh my gosh, that's lovely of you to say. What's the secret?
Yeah.
I would say eat clean, exercise, and reduce toxins in your body and your space as much as possible.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I aspire to do, and that's what I hope I'm doing.
Wow.
But you can always do that better.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, look, the reason why I got Auntie Lois here today is because, look, I've known you my whole life as Auntie Lois. I've known you as my auntie, so now this is my chance and for the world to get to know who is Auntie Lois, who you are. And I think it's so important because I see my auntie, uncle, my parents, but I never see them for who they are as much. And I think through your experiences, your life, everything you've gone through, it's going to add value to so many people out there. So let's start from the beginning. Let's tell us everything from the start, yeah.
So from the start,
yeah.
From Kenya?
So yeah, from Kenya, where you're from, your background.
Okay, So I am from Kenya, born and raised in Nairobi. My family, so my parents are from the part of Kenya that is called Central Province. It's actually not Central Province anymore because I think they have a different way of subdividing the country. So I'm really not sure what it is now. I think I'm Mount Kenya.
Okay.
So I grew up in Nairobi. I've got 3 brothers, and I'm number 2 of
middle child.
The 4. Yes, I'm a middle child and an only girl too. So I've got 3 brothers.
Wow. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry. Your tribe? What tribe your parents from?
I'm from the Kikuyu tribe. So that's Mount Kenya. Yeah. So my parents raised us in a very typical way that Kenyans bring up children in Kenya. So super strict, a child was to be seen and not heard. You were to do what you were told. You were not to question or challenge your parents, etc. I went to boarding school. So that's from primary school through to high school, which is very normal. Actually, the primary school maybe not so normal, but secondary school is typical of a Kenyan child. We go to boarding schools. And then after high school, I came to Australia.
So how was it being the only girl out of all your brothers? Good
and bad at the same time. Good in that I kind of got special treatment, I think. I'm not even sure, actually. But the bad side of it was I was the only girl, and when there was any gender roles to be fulfilled, I would be called upon to do it.
Wow.
However, my mother was very feminist, should I say, and she would always go, oh, no, but why does one boy have to do it? Anyone can do it. So she would subdivide chores in the home equally amongst everyone, and it wasn't just one boy go wash the dishes or whatever because it's a girl thing to do. However, when we had guests or anyone else that did not belong in our household, they would just expect me to do it. They might just go, oh, one boy, can I have chai? Or they would not say, hey, Jeff, Alex, Samke, get me chai. No, that was always me who was called up to do those things. So that's the disadvantage of being the only girl. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then you said it was very, like you said, a typical Kenyan home. Did you ever feel restricted in terms of expressing yourself, like how you felt, like growing up?
Yes.
You did.
Yep. For sure. There's things that you could not even try and like push in my household. Like it was just like a clear, unspoken rule that you don't question your parents. But I think it's my personality, because I remember even before I came to Australia, I remember really questioning my father on things I didn't agree with him on, or my mom, but mostly my dad. I feel like my dad was very typical home, the king of the castle, like he defined the rules and stuff like that. And so he would, just say, this has to be done, and everyone in the home would do it. But Wambui, the only girl, would challenge him. And yeah, so I challenged him a lot.
So and from what age did you start to do that?
I think from when I was a teenager, I think about 16, 17. I just remember being scared to challenge, but I still did. Yeah, but the fear was always there, like, oh my God, do I do it? But actually, to this day, when there's something difficult that needs to be spoken about in my family, my brothers, who are, very well defined and powerful in their own space, will go, "Ay, Wambui, Ebu, you go and like you bring it up." Like they always come behind me. They're like, "No, Wambui, you can do it. You do it, and then we'll support you."
Yeah, they come behind you.
Yeah.
Wow. So I like how you said it. Like sometimes you would have that fear, but you were courageous. So what would you be like? No, why do I have to do it? Or you were very like,
oh, I took it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it.
Wow. Okay, so then you went to a high school boarding school. What was that experience like?
If you asked me what it was like when I was there, I would have said it was horrible. But with benefit of hindsight now, I look back and think, oh my God, what a beautiful, wholesome way to bring up a child. Okay. Because we were expected to do everything, like anything that needed to be done in your life, like as a kid growing up, like, so our dormitories were like your home. So whatever you needed to do to maintain the home, you had to do. We had chores, we used to call them duties. We used to call them duties. So we were assigned duties and you had to do your duty. So we had different duties that would rotate in the house. And yeah, you had to do it. So it was a very good way to teach responsibility. And I actually see a really big gap with us guys who grew up in boarding schools and say people that I've met here in Australia who've grown up at home with mom doing everything. I actually don't understand how households here do not even have house helps, but they don't know how to do stuff. They're not independent they kind of do, but not to the level that us guys were taught. So my standards of, cleanliness in the home are very high, and causes a lot of, disappointments with, say, Paris or, my household on how they do certain things, because I expect it to be done like
at a high standard.
At a really high standard. And so I judge people on that high standard, which I guess is not the best. I mean, it's my standard, not everyone's standard. But yeah, it comes from growing up in high school. So in hindsight, I think it was really awesome. But when I was there, I was like, oh my God, what a punish. I hate being at school. I want to go home. Like, I miss home. I miss my family and stuff. But yeah, the good thing was that everyone went to boarding school. So everyone was doing it. So yeah.
So was there any things, as you're growing up subconsciously that you learned from your mother that you even took to boarding school? Obviously, we're going to talk about you coming to Australia, but was there anything subconsciously that you would see from your mum that you would do?
Yes. I think my mom is such a hustler.
Okay.
Like, don't ever say no to my mom, because she'll prove there's not a no. Like, she does everything and anything she puts her mind to. So I think that drive I get from my mother, as well as my dad. But my mother is just, I think because she had that barrier being a woman, that there's only so far you can go, she just had to put so much more effort. And I definitely see that drive in me. So yeah, I got that from my mom, and I practiced that through school and really throughout my life. Yeah.
So what did your parents do for work back when you were
They were just entrepreneurs. They've always, my parents have done everything and anything on the book.
Yeah.
Name anything, they've done it. So from running a restaurant to owning bars to owning a fish and chips shop to owning those vibandas that sell food, those ones, chapos, those,
really?
They've done that. Yep, they've developed property, they've been farmers, they've exported fruit to Europe.
Wow.
Oh my God, like seriously, everything and anything they've done. Like when the people started going to Dubai to like bring stuff back to Kenya to sell, they got into that, and then it became China, and they sold electric. Like seriously, they've done everything and anything.
Wow.
Yeah, they've hustled, but they began as teachers.
As teachers.
Yeah, so they both were teachers. They met at a teachers' college, and then they just grew from there.
Yeah. Was there anything like you would see, and it kind of makes sense, you going to boarding school, obviously they're working, people are busy. Was there anything that you saw within their relationship, maybe good or bad, that also like subconsciously that you would take in, like just them in the house, stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Good. Everyone participated in the household in terms of income or running the home.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, there's a few bad things that I don't want to take on. And I think I wouldn't really point it only to my parents. I think it's a Kenyan thing where there's a hierarchy of importance, or maybe not importance, of what do I call, like, oh God, I don't know, like, oh my God, what do I say? How do I define it? Like, it's not equals per se. There's one person who's definitely the boss. Yeah.
Do you, but so like, that's the thing, obviously we have masculine, feminine. Do you think where maybe it gets bad, where let's say the masculine is everything is my way or the highway?
I think when it becomes bad when it's toxic masculinity.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of that in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of that in Kenya, and it kind of works. I think it only works actually because women are not empowered enough to stand up to that. So I think that's why it works, not because it's a good system.
Yeah. Has to be that balance.
Yeah.
The balance.
Yeah. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying this video. Let me quickly tell you about this product that we have. It's a cling wrap, foil, and baking paper organizer. It will organize your drawer. If you're anything like me, you have that drawer in the kitchen that, you open and it's just like so messy. It has like a foil box and all of that messy stuff. This product will put everything in one. You can slide your products in, and really easy to access, easy to use, easy to cut. Get it, link in the video.
Okay, so you finish, what age did you finish high school, boarding school?
What year?
Yeah, how old were you when you finished?
I was 18 when I finished, yeah.
Okay. So you're done with boarding school. So what were you thinking of your move next after that?
So finished high school, no plans. Applied for uni, and I thought I was gonna go to uni in Kenya, and then somehow I don't even know how, but I applied to go to uni in the US, and then that fell through. And then I found myself in Australia as plan B, or maybe even not a plan, something that just happened. So I applied to go to the US, and in Kenya you have to like go and apply for a visa. And I went and applied for my visa, but I was denied the visa. So it was supposed to be myself and my cousin going to the US, and we were supposed to do this whole like uni experience together.
In college.
Yeah. and then I didn't get my visa, but then my cousin did, and we went to her house on the day that I was denied a visa. So that same night, we went to her house for dinner to farewell her because she was flying to the US that same night. And while we were there, my uncle asked how I went with my visa, and I was like, oh, I didn't get it. I was, denied. And I was like, oh, have you guys thought of Australia? And I was like, Australia? No, I don't want to go to Australia.
Why not? Like what?
I don't know. It just had never occurred to me that Australia was an option. And number two, I just always thought Australia was so far. And the only thing I thought of when my uncle said, have you thought of Australia, is Crocodile Dundee. So I was like, I don't think I want to go and live in Crocodile Dundee world.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know. And then my dad jumped on it. He's like, what do you mean? Kwani, is there an option for Australia? And he's like, yeah, go next door. Our neighbor is like an agent for an Australian university. Just go have a chat with them. Like, so we finished dinner, like literally knocked next door and had a chat with the agent for Australia. And the agent happened to be Venus's dad. You know Venus and Kemi?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Their dad.
The dad.
Yes,
wow.
Their dad, yeah. So we went, had a chat with him. And he's like, okay, no problem. Yeah, we can do da in a month if I was in Australia.
In Australia. Wow. And you're at the age of 18 years old.
Yeah. No, I was, how old was I? Was I just about to turn 19?
19.
Yeah.
And okay, so you're about to turn 19. Those teenage years, turning 19, how was that experience as a, because you're a girl growing up, you're becoming a woman. How was that experience? Like, did you have outlets, people to talk to? Did you start dating? Did you have a boyfriend?
Here in Australia?
No, just before you had moved to Australia. So that critical age of 18, 19,
Yeah.
just before you moved to Australia.
No.
No.
None of that. I was a very slow developer. Actually, in high school, some of my friends had boyfriends, and I felt really excluded because they'd go, oh my God, we can't talk about that because Lois is here. Like they used to see me as like a little like girl, like who wasn't developed and stuff. So they'd like whisper and talk all these stories without telling me, and I felt so excluded. But yeah, so that's the answer. No, I didn't have a boyfriend, and I didn't date, and I did none of that before I left Kenya.
What was your mindset at that point? Where you just focused on school? Was it curious to you? Like, what, you're hearing these girls say stuff like that. Like, how was your did you have someone to talk to about it? Or were you just like, all right, I'm in school and... Yeah,
I'm curious and maybe interested, but those doors were closed. There was no way I could meet any boys. I went to an all-girls school. So we lived in an estate where you knew everyone that lived there. And like, it was like family friends, and we didn't have very many boys in the I don't know, like actually I don't know, the boys were just not accessible to me. Yeah.
So it was just school.
Yeah.
And your brothers, they also went to boys boarding schools?
Yes.
Okay.
So we finished school, and then my parents, I said, were entrepreneurs, and they would, every day we would get woken up very early and go to whatever shop it was that was happening. Go be there all day selling, like just being in that. You make sure you watch what's happening. When I come, I want to, you're gonna report to me. So yeah, we didn't have time to we didn't have any idle time, should I say? Yeah.
Wow.
We were really occupied. Like holidays, we were going to the business to work or do stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So it was always, there was no chilling at home. It was school holidays.
Nope.
You're in the shop working.
At the shop working, or if it's that off day and you're at home, no TV during the day. And we were expected to be productive. So my dad would wake us up in the morning before he left. He'd knock on your door. He's like, why are you still sleeping? When I come home, I want to see, we had dogs and a big compound. He's like, I don't want to find any dog poo on the compound. And I want you to make sure the fence is good, or slash the grass, or we were given chores. There was no just chilling. There was no chilling in my household. Yeah.
Wow, you can see it's interesting to hear your parents. I think those are the fundamentals. Seeing the work it takes, seeing no, you're not just gonna this life isn't easy. What happens if maybe we go today or something? How are you gonna have responsibilities? Okay, so you're going to Australia now. What's that like? You're heading over.
Okay, so oh my God, yeah. So I got my visa. I'm coming to Australia. All excited, but kind of scared. And then the day comes and it really hits me. And oh my God, I cried. I didn't want to go. I was super scared, but I had to go. So boarded, came to Australia, and Venus met me at uni and she showed me around. She was really, really good. And then I met a lot of Kenyans at Wollongong Uni, so that was also good. And yeah, I made really good friendships that I've maintained to this day, which really are the people I met in uni are my family here in Australia. So it was good. But yeah, it was a huge new chapter of my life.
Wow.
And I didn't know that I would then spend the rest of my 20 plus years in Australia.
What were you studying?
Biomedical science.
How was that?
Good. Yeah, I love science. I love science.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was like what you were passionate about it. So you said,
I was always interested in science, but even the older I get, the more I get drawn back into it. I work in a department where we do like diagnostics and stuff. So still in science.
You're still till today.
Yep. And yeah, I just love everything about how the body functions.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how was that experience? University, you have other Kenyans there. Like, how was that? Tell us a little bit about
Uni was amazing. It was good to have like people that I connected with, so my Kenyans. So I didn't feel very lonely. Made great friendships, had the best experiences. Like, oh my God, we partied at uni. It was awesome. Really good friend, Pearl. Pearl and I did a lot together. We lived together. We just go way back. And I'm glad she's still in my life even today. But yeah, it was just really good experience, learning, but creating awesome friendships, having the time of our life. I met lots of people from different parts of the world because I lived at uni accommodation for the beginning of my time in Australia. So met lots of people from different places. It was awesome. And also being in Wollongong, which wasn't that big city, it just felt like a little village. You'd see a face, like if you saw a face that you didn't know in Wollongong, you'd be like, oh, I've never seen that person before. Yeah, it's like everyone was familiar in Wollongong. Yeah.
What was there any like cultural differences when you came over that kind of like shocked you, even with going out, or because even when you said you were going out, we'll talk about the cultural differences, but was that your first time even going out partying? Had you done that back home?
I had. I'd gone out in Kenya, but not with permission. So we'd wait for my parents to go to bed, and then we'd sneak out.
What time would they go to bed?
Maybe 9:30, 10:30-ish.
Easy.
And then we'd sneak out. But do you know how we sneaked out? We'd jump off the balcony upstairs because they'd be like, okay, everyone has to go to bed now. And then we'd go upstairs. And in my house, we have like upstairs. And when you go upstairs, you have to lock the upstairs gate. Like it's a big door and we lock it when everyone is upstairs. So we didn't want to open it because obviously my parents would wonder who's opening. Why are you going downstairs again? So we just like, wait, give them time to fall asleep. And then we'd open the door to the balcony upstairs and we'd jump and then go out.
Just to go out, huh?
You'd
go with your brothers?
With my brothers. And then we had friends. Like, you know how I told you we lived in an estate where we knew people? So, like, we all knew what time we were all, like, escaping, running away from home to go out, and we'd all like meet somewhere, and then like of course we were like so broke, so we'd walk to like the main road, or if someone had managed, and it did happen, to steal their parents' car, then we'd go out in that car.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy. So okay, and then the cultural differences, like that, what shocked you, or what was like, whoa, okay.
So for me, arriving in Australia, so I was picked up from the airport by uni, and I remember being like driving down to Wollongong. It was a night. I remember like looking outside and looking at other drivers and thinking, oh my God, everyone is white. Like it was so strange, like because I'd never experienced that before. And then I realized that I was the different one. Like I'd never been anywhere where I was different. Wow. Like it was just like, oh my God, everyone is white. Like it was like a big shock. Yeah.
Wow. So it was just like, like I'm the one who stands out. You're used to just seeing black people everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And it's crazy when
you're not used to seeing black people. You're used to just seeing people, because when in Kenya you don't even see color. You're just like people. But when I came here, it was so obvious they were white people.
Wow.
Like it was so crazy. Yeah.
And it's crazy how you think about it now. When we're growing up, like our generation, we're used to just seeing, white people. It's crazy.
It's normal to see. For you, I think you see the differences, but for us, we didn't see differences, and we didn't even know there were differences. Okay, you kind of do, like at the back subconsciously, but it's not really present in your life, so you don't even notice. So it never occurred to me about differences until I came to Australia.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And did you miss your family back home?
Yes, a lot. I'd ring home and cry over the phone, cry like every week. I'd just ring and cry, and we had to use calling cards. And they were really expensive. And I'd spend $30, I'd buy a calling card, it was $30, and I'd speak for 7 minutes. And then, boom, it was over. And I'd cry for those 7 minutes. And then one day, my parents are like, okay, Wambui, enough is enough. We're sending you a ticket. You come back home.
Wow. How old were you there?
Same here.
Oh, the same year?
Yeah, I struggled. I struggled with Australia. And then when they said that to me, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I can't go back home. That means I came and I'm a loser. Do you know what I mean? How can you just go back home because you couldn't cope? It just meant I was a loser. So the day they said that to me is the day I stopped calling home and crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so funny.
You were like, let me just suck it up and
yeah.
Okay, so you go after your first year living in uni. Where did you go live after that?
And then I moved into an apartment with Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you paying also for your school fee? Did you have to manage?
No, I didn't have to pay my school fees, luckily. But yeah, so my parents paid that, but I had to make money for my upkeep.
Okay. And what were you doing?
If
hustling.
Man, tumetoka mbali. Hey, worked in a nursing home.
Wow.
As an assistant, an AIN, assistant in nursing. Do you know what that entails? Do you know what that is?
No.
That is personal hygiene, feeding, all of that stuff.
You're doing it.
Mwah.
So you just boom, and then you're studying at the same time. So you got to manage that with your studies. Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't the hard part. It was hard. The job itself was hard because I remember the first day I turned up at the nursing home for orientation. I was like, oh my God, what's up with the skin? Seriously, because elderly people, their skin is really, really thin and sensitive.
Wow.
So you would grab them and it would just tear. And that was new to me because I think for us, when our grand people, when they're old, the skin doesn't become sensitive to tear. Our skin becomes really hard.
Hard.
So
yeah.
An old person like my grandma, if I grab her, I won't tear her skin because her skin is so thick.
Yeah.
I don't know, it becomes hard, it doesn't tear easily. Yeah. I had never seen a situation where you can grab someone and boom, the skin comes off. It used to come off you know how you put glue on and then you let it dry?
Yeah.
and then you just like peel it off. It was like that.
I used to peel off, really? When they get
You're
older?
not peeling it off, but if you
like
grab them, like you have to be so careful how you grab them, because if you grab a certain way, like it just peels off. Like it was so scary. I had never seen that. So I was like, oh my God, man. And then, but the worst bit, like the hardest part for me was when someone passed away in the nursing home and they were in my section. So you're meant to like, you know, clean them, prep them, whatever, for the family to come and see. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So you know what I did? I said, in my culture, at my age, I'm not allowed to see dead people.
That's what you said, huh? Yeah.
And then it gave me a bit of a leeway, bought me some time before I was told, hey, I'm sorry about your culture, but this job has to be done. Wow. But yeah, I think for like a year, I didn't have to do that. But yeah, man, it was hard.
How old were you at that point?
19.
19? Okay, 19. So that was, you were still 19 then.
Yep.
Wow.
We've hustled, Eve. You guys have it easy. Like seriously, you guys have it easy. Yeah, and I think you have it easy. We did not have it hard because of anything other than we were establishing the roots of people like us here in Australia. And in saying that, I mean, we didn't have networks, we didn't have connections, so there was no one to call on and say, hey, I need a job, can you hook me up? Do you know anyone? There's none of that. Whereas you guys have that now. You know, like I'm like, oh, you need a job. Wait, I think I know someone who can. Oh, you need a place to live. Oh, someone has a spare room somewhere. Do you know what I mean? You guys, we've established those networks for you. Now you have networks. Us guys didn't have that. Yeah.
And you came at a time where there was not even many black people as well. That's another thing, isn't it? So you guys were just, did you experience any encounters with racism or anything like that?
I don't think so. I can't think of any direct racism incidences. Maybe subtle ones that, again, being from Kenya and never realizing that I was different, maybe someone would have said, oh, look at you, black, whatever. And to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm black. Yeah. You know, like I wouldn't see it as like offense or, oh my God, they're being racist or whatever. Like it was like, yeah, I am, you know, so what? Yeah. So maybe someone did try to be racist to me, but I didn't.
You couldn't even
I didn't get
register
it.
in your mind.
Exactly.
It didn't even register. Okay, so now let's talk about relationships. Did you have, like, when was your first boyfriend?
First boyfriend was it 20 or 21?
Okay.
Or 21 even. It was when Olympics was on. When was that? 2000.
Yeah, 2000, I think, Olympics.
So I was 21.
21. How was that experience?
Yeah, I was 21. Paris' dad.
Paris' dad. Oh, wow. Okay. So how old were you when you had Paris?
24.
Okay, 24. So you're a bit old. So you guys had dated for 3
Met at 21. So what, 3 years? Yeah.
That was your first love. What was that?
First love or first ever experience. I didn't even know whether it was love or what was it. Like it just happened. Yeah. But of course, I was totally in love. But for me, when I define love now, I'm like, I don't think it's fair to say I was in love because I just had never experienced anything else. So I didn't even know how to like gauge what I'm feeling or say, this is what I want or this is what I don't want. Do you know what I mean? It's just something, and I really think young people should experience and get to know themselves, what they want and what they do not want. Yeah.
Okay. So when you were in it, was it just like, well, you think you're in love, but like when you look back on it, what feels like, what can you look back on? And like you said, you maybe you didn't know what you wanted, or what can you look back on and say like, maybe I was a bit naive in this, or?
I think I just went with the flow. I did not, I would not stand up for myself. Like if something was bothering me, I'd just like go with it to keep the peace, or. Like I didn't know who I was, so and he was a lot older than me. He was 10 years older than me. Wow. So like he basically just ruled. Yeah. And it took me like a few years of like self-growth to one day say, hey, no, it's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen or whatever. But it took a lot of oomph and everything in me to like stand up to him for the very first time. So yeah, so that looking back, I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself because I didn't know my self-worth. I thought this relationship is everything. Who am I? Like, this is everything. If I leave this, where am I going to go? Like, you know, like, so it was my everything. And I just thought, I'm just going to stay here because I didn't know how much I was worthy. Wow. And now I'm just like, man, I'm not just going to be in a space I don't want to be. You know, like, if you don't do it for me, I feel like relationships are two-way roads. You know, I have to work for you and you have to work for me. There's no, you're getting more and, you know, like, not delivering. It's not going to work. Like, one day someone's just going to wake up and go, oh, hey, wait a minute, it's not working for me. Like, it has to be, it's a give and take. Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting because when you were younger, you used to challenge your dad. So when you got into the relationship, did you feel, well, if I question it or if I say I'm not cool with this, like you said, you felt maybe you wouldn't find someone else? Because you had that when you were younger, even though maybe you were scared to speak up against your dad, you would do it. But it never came out when you were in the relationship?
I think being in Australia, it makes it a bit different. So being able to challenge my dad is a very safe space. If I challenge him, I know he's still my dad. Yeah. He's not gonna go anywhere. Like, he still loves me, all of that stuff. In Australia, I now have a boyfriend. I've kind of pulled away from the Kenyan community, which is another big mistake. And this is something that happened because I think he was older, he owned the space, he knew everyone in one, you know, like, he was just so connected. So I automatically ended up hanging out with his people and not hanging out with my people as much and stuff. And then you just slowly get disconnected without noticing. And then suddenly you're not happy. So you're isolated, like, where am I gonna go? You know, like, it really puts you in a difficult space. So yeah, so I think that played a lot in me not realizing my value, because I was like, oh my God, I don't have anyone. I'm in Australia. Like, I'm alone. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I had removed myself from the Kenyan community.
So you never, sorry to cut you off, but you never felt like, hey, babe, or your boyfriend, I'm going to go hang out with the girls today, or no?
Nope. It wasn't like that. He was so dominant. We always did his things. Yeah. So yeah, hardly ever. Okay, maybe one time out of 10 we'd go and do Kenyan things, but then it was always his things. But when I started getting to know myself, I remember sometimes just going, hey, whether you're coming or not, I'm going to this Kenyan thing, you know. And I started to slowly pull away and become my own person. But I remember that happening when I was about 25. I think that's when I really started to, like, know myself and be comfortable in my own skin. When
you said you started to know yourself, what was, like, how? What were you doing to start to be like, you know what? No.
I don't know whether it's about doing. It's just a realization. Okay. It's just something that happens inwardly. Like, I almost feel like you become mature at age 25. Like, something else happens, clicks. So for me, at age 25, something clicked. And again, at age 30, something clicked. And again, like, slowly as I get older, I'm just like, man, I know myself. There's stuff I'm willing to put up with. And there's stuff I'm just like, you know what? Don't need you. Yeah. Don't need your whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think it takes a lot of knowing yourself and understanding your worth and being very clear about your values and what you want to stand for and not for, to be able to do that. Some things for me, I just cannot compromise on. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's become like that the older I get. Yeah.
So it's just something that, because I think it's very important, like, you know, even just the space of relationships, of like self-love, like you said, you know, how much do I know myself? I mean, some people just nowadays they just get into relationships without even spending time with themselves. Can you be alone with yourself? And like you said, certain things that, you know, now I'm not willing to accept that. No. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm gonna go do this or do this. So let's talk about that experience of being a mother. So you're 24 years of age. You know, now you're pregnant. What was that like? And you're obviously again in Australia. That experience.
Scared. So I had Paris's dad, and that was good that he was there and supportive. But I was always scared about what my family will think.
Wow.
So I did not talk about it until Paris was born. Oh, wait. My dad did not know about Paris until after she was born.
Really?
I know. I was so scared. Like every time I wanted to say anything, I was just super, super scared. So I didn't. My brothers did. And you know how I told you my dad was like really like almost fierce? Like we were all scared of him. And I would be the person who would, my brothers would send and go, oh yeah, you talk to dad, whatever. I was like, hey, can you guys tell dad that I'm pregnant? They're like, hey, Wambui, no, me I can't. Everyone was like, I can't do it. So yeah, so he didn't know about Paris until she was born.
Wow. That's crazy. So like, did you have a support system a little bit? Like, you know, you're about to conceive birth. Like, obviously, you have your Paris's dad, but was there anyone else, or was it just him?
Yes.
Okay.
Luckily, at that point, I had drawn back my friends, so I had really close friends like Wanyika, you know, Auntie Nix.
Yeah.
Nix, Rehema, Yolande. They were all like really in my life, and they were great support systems. But yeah, so other than them, and they were all hustling, like trying to, you know, like just get things done, wanting to like, you know, party and stuff like that. And I'm busy like being pregnant. Like they kind of had time for me, but not that much time.
Yeah. Like, we're going to go out now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Wow, okay. And then, so did having Paris then, how did that play now into the relationship?
So I had Paris. And then 3 months later, I went to Kenya.
Okay.
And then I went to Kenya. So I went to Kenya, and I was in Kenya for over a year.
Oh, wow.
And it's during that period that I found myself like holy. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to go back and be in this relationship. Yeah.
Did you go with Paris?
Yes,
of course.
Of course. So then when I came back, I already knew in my head that I wanted to like break away, but I didn't know how to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll go back. I'll stay with him while I make my plan. And that's what I kind of did until, you know, we had a fight one night and I couldn't like stay, you know, like just be quiet or whatever. At this point I was like, no, you're not gonna talk to me like that or whatever. And then he kicked, like, I can't remember what happened. I went outside and I left Paris in the house, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so upset, whatever. I'm gonna go outside for a bit of, you know, some fresh air. And then he locked me out. I didn't take my keys. He did not let me back in. So I'm like, okay, shikes. I guess my plans just like fallen through, because at that point I'd already gotten a place. I'd kind of bought some furniture, but I wasn't fully ready to like move out. So like my thing fell through before I could get out. So he locked me out, and I was like, oh my God, knock, knock, knock. He wouldn't open. I had to call the cops on him. Wow. So call the cops. I'm like, he's locked me out and he has my baby. And he's locked me out.
And you're a woman, though,
So the cops came, and he was like, no, she's not coming back in. Here's the baby. So that's how we went our separate ways. So oh my God, it was so hard. God, it was so hard.
Wow.
Gosh, it was hard. I remember, so we're outside. He basically just like packed some things, like he could pick like some of my clothes, put them in like a black garbage bags, and chuck them out to the cops. And that was me. That was our beginning, me and Paris.
How old was Paris?
She was months old. We'd come back from Kenya. She was maybe a year, 6 months, around there. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do? My friends always come through.
This video is sponsored by yvesrubasha's Patreon. I can tell you guys, content creation is a game changer. But the thing is, you got to be patient. You got to be able to put in the work day after day, time after time, in order to get what you want in life. I've really looked at my experience. I've looked at what I've gone through, and I'm like, you know what? I can start helping people now. I can help people become content creators because I have found so many gems, so much knowledge. I mean, come on, the record speaks for itself. You go head out on my YouTube channel and you see what I'm doing out there. We are doing numbers. YouTube shorts are going crazy. My vlogs are going crazy, dropping every single day. I love you guys, man. I want you to grow. I want you to see a pathway for yourself. There's no limit to what you can achieve and where you are going. And if you're really serious about content creation, if you're really serious about being a YouTuber, I got the gems and I'm giving them away on my Patreon.
So yeah, so I called Gloria and Della, and they came over. Like, it was at night. They came and picked us up. And we went and spent the night at Gloria's house. I think I stayed with Gloria for about 2 weeks. At that point, because I had only I had just come back from Kenya. I don't even think I'd been back in Australia for a month. I hadn't set route or done anything. I didn't have a job. Paris wasn't going to daycare, nothing. So I stayed with Gloria for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, I found a job. I got Paris into daycare, and yeah, and then finished off my place, and then we moved into it.
So that night you went straight to Gloria's.
Yeah.
So he's put the stuff in a garbage bag. The police obviously said, okay, because it's his place.
Yeah, he owned his place. So yeah.
You know, and you got a child, so you just call.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have family, but I have Gloria. You know, like the Kenyan community really was like family. They really still are basically a family here. Yeah. So I went to Gloria's house. I stayed there for 2 weeks, you know, established myself, got a job, got Paris into daycare, moved into a new place, because I told you I was organizing that. So we moved into a place and it was good. And then I got because then Paris's dad started bothering us. I think he was like, oh, who do you think you are? Have that. And then he was probably expecting this poor little African girl to come crying back to him. And I moved on. So he's like trying to call me all the time. Oh, please, you guys come back home or whatever. I'm like, not having it. So I actually got a restraining order against him. So he wasn't allowed to call or have any contact with us. So we moved on. We were living at our place, just a place down the road in Wollongong. And then my friend Rehema, she came to visit us in Wollongong, and she's like, gosh, Lonya, what are you doing here? Like, seriously, why don't you move to Sydney? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't move to Sydney. I've just gotten this place. Like, how am I going to move to Sydney? We hadn't actually signed a lease. It was like a privately rented place. So she's like, look, you haven't signed a lease. Like, just put your stuff into storage. Come to Sydney, stay with me, find a job, put Paris into daycare in Sydney. There's more opportunities there. Like, seriously, don't waste your life in Wollongong. So I'm like, oh my God, okay. Like, mind you, I take on ideas like this. Like, you tell me to do something, I'll think about it. If it seems like a good idea, man, I'm doing it. Like, I don't waste time. I just go. I just do it. So it's like, okay, cool. In a week, packed everything up into storage, talked to the landlord, said, I'm really sorry, this has happened, we're moving to Sydney. So we went to Sydney. We stayed with Rehema. I think I stayed with Rehema for about 2 months. You know, found a job. God, it was hard to find a job that worked with daycare. Found Paris a daycare that was close to where we were living. And then we found a place. And that was our place that you used to come to on Botany Road when you were a little boy. Yeah. Remember? That's where we moved to.
Well, I remember I used to babysit for you. Remember? Yes. How old was that? That was a bit later.
That was later. I used to babysit Paris when she was when we lived in Rose Bay.
Crazy. Yes, in Rose Bay.
In Rose Bay.
But guys, Fanatics is the #1 online retailer when it comes to merchandise, when it comes to drip. You know, I'm one of those people, when I walk into the building, I want to stand out. I know my aura, my presence, my energy, and my drip is going to be the one that's going to pull me apart from the lot. You can be that person too. It all starts with your fashion sense. It all starts with the way you present yourself. And Fanatics, they're just them guys, man, especially when it comes to supporting your favorite team or just looking fly. This is a lifestyle and it's a mentality. Guys, there is discounts every single day. That's the best thing. That's why we've partnered up with Fanatics for a really long time. I'm very passionate about something like this. And to be able to look good and fly is always a privilege. So go click that link in the bio. Now let's get back to the video. Yeah. So in Rosebery, where did you guys move to?
So when we moved from Wollongong, it was on Botany Road in Mascot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think vaguely. How old was you?
Oh my God, Eve! I think you. How many years older than Paris are you?
Yeah. Paris is how old?
How old are you?
26.
Paris is 19. 7.
Yeah.
7. Okay, so you must have been around, because you moved there when Paris was about 2.5.
And I'm 7.
Actually,
years older.
2.
Okay.
So plus 7. So you were under 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you were under 10.
When did you meet my mom at that? So you move over to you moved to Botany, got your own apartment, you're with Paris, you got a job at that point?
Yep.
Yeah. Where were you working?
We're nice and stable now. We're cruising.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
When did I meet your mom?
Yeah.
Oh my God. When, about around that time.
Around that time.
Yeah. Can't remember exactly when, but I remember where I met her. It was at an event, Lily's event role. It was at establishment upstairs somewhere, but that's where I first met your mom.
You meet my mom?
Yeah.
And you guys get along?
Your mother. Hey, she like Ati, we met her, and then obviously we're like, hey, you look nice. Like, hey, do you know how old I am? Hey, sijui nini. Hey, your mother. You know the way she looks good. Always looks good in every space, better than everyone else. And so we're like, hey, you look good. And then she's like, and you know how old I am? Like, and please, you gotta recognize.
Yeah. So she's flexing
looking good. Bit. Yeah, for sure.
And you guys hit it off. So
yeah.
So now, did you feel content? Like, wow, like you're a bit more mature. You have your own place. By the way, did you guys think about co-parenting with Paris's dad?
At this point, we've already been to court. So he tried to get us back. And I was kind of weak enough anyway to almost agree to go back. And he came to Sydney. Yeah. I know. Oh my God! Can't if I made that mistake. Anyway, so he came to Sydney. He was coming to Sydney every weekend, taking us out, trying to reel us back in, whatever, and it was working. But in the meantime, Kenyans, hustlers, whatever, Kenyans had already told me, some really good Kenyan friends had already told me, hey, Ati, he's not paying child support. He better pay child support. So I'd spoken to a lawyer about child support. And then in the meantime, he's reeling us back in. And then he received a letter from the lawyer. That was a deal breaker. That was it. He was so upset. How dare you go to lawyers and ask for child support, And then it was all hit the roof. And we're back to the place that I think was best for me, because if I had gone back, it would have been a huge mistake. So back to not being friends, and then we ended up going to court and family court and but we ended up with parenting orders.
Yeah. So before that, that space where you go and you're living by yourself, did you want to okay, he can come, was there a point where you didn't want him to see Paris at all?
Oh, no, never. I never said you can't see Paris. However, it wasn't convenient for him to come to Sydney to see Paris. So I guess he wanted arrangements that worked for him.
Yeah.
So, which is what he got. He got, you can take Paris 3 days of the week and take her to Wollongong with you.
Okay.
But and I don't think I was ready as a parent, to let Paris go out of my, care, for 3 days. I don't think I would have just gone, okay, take Paris for 3 days if we hadn't been given those orders. I would have let him see her, but I don't think I would have been comfortable. She was 2,
to go, and you're the mother, you have that maternal instinct.
Yeah.
But you know what though? You know what I love about that? We see a lot today. Even though you had that traumatic experience, it's still you're traumatic about it. It's an emotional thing, but you never stop that from letting the father see.
No. So throughout Paris's life, she's gone to Wollongong. Everyone knows Paris goes to Wollongong all the time. She always goes to Wollongong, sees her family there. She has a family. The dad is remarried with more children, and that's a part of Paris.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing thing that she has that, and it's it's valuable. Like, it's a thing that she should value and get to know them. You know, they're still her family. They're not a part of me, happily, but they're Paris's family, and I support that.
Yeah.
Like, I think she should really know them, especially her siblings, because, you know, siblings are so good to have.
Yeah, and that still, at the end of the day, that's still your father, and that relationship, especially your daughter and the father, even if we can't be together, you know your dad. You know, it's because we see a lot of girls don't have, but like, I think that's the issue we have in today's society, where a lot of women, maybe the men hurt them, whatever the case may be, emotionally,
and they take the kids away,
and they take the kids, and they use it to get back to. And you could have easily done that. You could have even justified and said, you know what, he did this to me, and maybe, but you still, at the end of the day, look, I'm not with him. He may have hurt me, but go and see your dad.
You know what? I think people who do that, you're hurting your child. Imagine if someone took your father away from you or your mother from you. Can you imagine? Your mother has taken your dad away from you, or vice versa. Like, your dad has ensured that you don't get to have a relationship with your mother. Imagine how upset you would be, like, when you grow up and realize, you know, like, when you're a kid, you don't have it, but later on you'll be like, oh my God, how selfish, I can't believe you did that to me. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't have that relationship.
Yeah. Because of your bitterness, because of your issues, I don't think anyone should do that unless there's a safety issue. That's a different thing.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. When do you think there's a point where a mother should say, you can't see your child until maybe you do this? Like, is there a point, like, is there a certain point you think?
I think for me, it's if you feel your child is not safe there, you should do everything possible to protect your child.
What about the mothers who say, I don't have financial support, maybe the kids' school fees, stuff like that?
No, let them see their child. Let the child see their father or their mother, whatever. Money is, go out and hustle, man. Make the money. Take your child to school. You have hands. You've got a brain. Those people who own big mansions in, like, Vaucluse or Mossman or whatever, do you think they have two brains? Do they have two brains?
Yeah, they do.
They don't. They have one brain just like you and two hands, and they hustle and they make it work. You can make it work too. Don't put any blocks in your brain, like, in your life. Like, just go and hustle. You'll make it. Like, it's your mindset. Do it. You can do it. I think you can do it anyway.
No, I think that's a very important message, because I see that. So I've seen it happen to friends, this and this, that happens. So then how did you find, did you start dating now after, obviously, you've moved on? Like, how was that? Yeah, how was that whole experience?
So moved to Sydney, and then Paris started going to Wollongong 3 days a week. And we made sure that one of the days was a weekend day, so that Perry would get a Saturday weekend day to, like, go out if he needed, whatever. And I got the Fridays. So I would go out on Fridays and Thursdays when Paris was in Wollongong, and it was nice. And, you know, getting back into the partying life in Sydney was amazing. Well, not getting back, getting to know it. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And so, like, met a few cute boys and got back into the dating.
What was your type?
Life. What was my type? Oh, I would say when I was in uni, my type must be Kenyan. I know.
Okay.
And then, like, you go through a long period of not meeting anyone Kenyan that meets your criteria, and then are like, hey, I better expand the the whatever criteria. So by the time I was in Sydney, there was no criteria for, like, type. It was more, do I find you attractive? Are we getting along? That was it. Of course, I didn't want losers and stuff. Like, you know, I've always been attracted to people who have ambition or are doing something with their life. Like, I just find that really attractive.
Someone who's, and at that time also, you have a daughter, so you can't just have a nobody, you know what I mean? Like, you're focused, because it's like, I got work and I'm a single mother. You know what I mean? So it's like, you didn't really have time. How was it being a single mother and then, like, dating? Because you kind of got to be careful in terms of, you don't want people coming around, maybe your child, or how was that little phase or area in your life?
I think being a single mom is the best thing that puts your foot a little bit ahead of others. You know why?
Why?
Because you don't just have free time. And when you're always available, guys don't respect you. They're like, "Aye, Kwani, this chick, she doesn't have a life. She's always available. Aye," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me, I was not always available. And when if someone asked me for like to go out on a date, I'd be like, "Okay, I can only go on Thursday lunchtime or Friday at 7 until 10. You know, like I was like, and then I guess most guys would think, "Geez, this chick, man, she's so like disciplined, and you know, I can't just like have to respect her time." So like if someone asked me on a date, they would respect that because they knew like if you don't turn up on Thursday lunchtime, you're out. Like so it really helped me, I think.
Yeah. I think it put you, like you said, when you're texting back or you're available all the time, this and this, but it actually put you at an advantage. So single mothers do have that because to date a woman who has a mother, it's not like you can just go and see her whenever you want or you can pull up whenever you want. You know? Wow. Okay. And so so when was your, like, did you find your next kind of serious relationship?
So oh man. So I dated a serious relationship. I'd say, what's serious? Like a year plus?
Yeah. Or you're just like, look, I want to take this person serious, even while being a mother.
Okay. So then I'd say 2 guys before my husband.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go through 2 guys.
Yeah.
What are things, some stuff that you've learned from just being in a relationship or being in relationships?
I think you have to retain yourself, like know you and keep that, like, you know, like don't lose self. And you need to also be very clear about your non-negotiables. And then beyond that is you have to be ready to just forgive and compromise and, you know, just need to like make it work. Like it's never perfect, basically. You're always fixing. And it's not to say that it's not great. It is. But you think about your brothers. Do you have falling outs with your brothers?
Yeah.
This video is sponsored by yvesrubasha's Patreon.
Yeah. So that's what marriage is. Yeah.
So it's just
marriage or relationship, serious relationships. Like it's never perfect. Yeah.
And it's just like when I think about it, like when I have my best friend, me and my homies, we fight. We'll have, like you said, a fallout. But it's like, because I love you so much, you want my homie.
Then you make up.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Then you make up. But then there'll be those things that happened, and you're like, you know what? Seriously, this one, if this is where you stand with this particular thing, I don't think we can see eye to eye. There'll be moments where you're like, you know what? I don't think we can align, and it's okay if you can't align with everyone. And I think when you let go of things that are so strongly rooted in your value system, I think that's when you start to lose yourself. You start to be wishy-washy. Like you should be someone who, when people say, "Oh, Eve, I know Eve, me," like if I tell Eve to deliver this, I know he will deliver. Do you know what I mean? You should be known for your certain values. And if you're that person who you're like, "Oh, but me, if you ask me to do this, I'll do it. And then you don't, like, do you know what I mean? Like, who are you? Like, stick to what you say you'll do.
What are some of your non-negotiables until today?
Non-negotiables in a relationship or in friendship?
In a relationship.
In a relationship, I think for me,
both actually.
Both. So relationship was when I got married. For me, non-negotiable, or before we got married, non-negotiable was kids. I definitely wanted another kid. So if we're not going to align on that one, there's no point. Non-negotiable, I think healthy lifestyle. I don't think I can be with someone who's unhealthy and like does all sorts of things that I don't align with, because for me, I want to be as healthy as possible, and I want to influence my family to be the same. So if I'm with you and you're pittering every day and drinking like crazy and smoking like I don't know what, like a chimney, and like just unhealthy lifestyle, I don't think we can align. In friendship, I think for me in friendship, I want someone who gives and not just takes. Like for me, if you ask my friends what Wambui is, they will tell you that I deliver. Like in a friendship, I give, I'll be there, I'll do all of that stuff. And if you're that person who is always taking and doesn't, I can't be in there. Like, mind you, I won't just like pull out. We'll have a discussion. But if you just want to act like me, I'm your mother, I already have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, man. Hey, we go places. I'm the one paying.
Yeah.
I'm the one coming up with plans. I'm the one coming to your house always. I'm the one. Hey, until when? When are you gonna give me something? Do you know what I mean? I think healthy relationships, friendships are give and take. Yeah.
So when did you meet now? How did you meet your husband now?
Hey, really? You want to know?
Yeah.
Imagine we met on Tinder.
Really?
Yes.
So I used to
man.
I used to use Tinder when I was in Europe, but like I don't know how the society here, because I remember when I came to Australia, like I had, when I was younger, I had Tinder, and then my friends were like, "Why do you use that?" So I was like, "Do they not use this in Australia?" But I don't know. Oh, so you guys met on Tinder? Wow. Okay. And that's amazing, because now that's your husband. You know what I mean? Because usually sometimes when people think of Tinder, you think
hookups.
Hookups. And which when I was in Sweden, that's what I used to look for. Like I never really.
Yeah.
So okay. So you guys matched on Tinder.
Yeah,
and then,
Tinder, and he lived not even 2 kilometers from me, but we never would have crossed paths.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
We lived about 2 k's from each other. We worked on the same street, actually. We worked on the same street, but we never would have ever met.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Hey, Tinder, you guys should sponsor this episode, by the
I
way.
know.
Any offers, you know, we'll accept them. So you, okay, wow. So he lives so close to you. What even about his Tinder profile that like stood out to you?
What did? I'll say what I never used to go for. So I'd swipe, and I always swipe. I can't remember what it's left or right. They did not want. The side I did not want was like, shirtless guys or, things that seemed like they were so sexual and like almost like you can tell what message they're trying to send. Yeah. I would always swap those ones. I don't want you. And his profile was, it was, I think, somewhere in a beautiful, like, I can't remember what it was, but it was beautiful and green and lots of vegetation. And it just seemed like he was just being him.
And
like there was no agendas. Yeah, so I swiped, yes, let's connect on him. And we connected, and then, yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? It's so true, though. You could tell by someone's profile their agenda. Like when and the reason I laugh, because my photos, okay, I'm not saying like I was a fuckboy or anything, but you could kind of see like this nigga ain't serious. Like, that's how my photos, that's when, if I think about it, like, you could see through my agenda on there, like what I wanted. It's so true. Yeah, that's interesting.
So you can read through these things. And I mean, there's people who are going for, you have to align with what you're looking for. And
and I think that's, that's, okay, I was going to say like, that's also a lesson in life too. But then sometimes you might, like a guy like me, I might look like a player, but then maybe when you speak to me, then you'd be like, oh, he's actually
a nice guy.
I wouldn't want to say it's like.
When you think you look like a player?
a little bit. Well, that's what I've been told. But no, when I actually look at my if I was to look back, I definitely think like, I'm saying good looking kid, I think I was, definitely. Some of them, no. So you meet your husband. I mean, well, you don't know it at the time. So how was now you like that experience, the first date? What did you see that was like, you know what, like?
He was. I liked his demeanor, and we could have a conversation. and we liked similar things, outdoorsy stuff, like just having fun outside. So we just really just got talking and connected more and more as we went. And then we broke up.
Wow. Why?
We broke up because he had a property in Tasmania. He still does. And his plan was always to go back to Tasmania and live there. And for me, I felt like it was impossible to uproot myself from this community that I'm in and move to Tasmania. And that was like a perpetual issue. We just could not resolve it. Like, so you don't want to be in Sydney and I don't want to be in Tasmania. What are we going to do?
And it's a big
So we
thing.
couldn't solve it.
Wow. And I can imagine for you, like, Tasmania, like, you have your whole community here. You've been here for so long. Paris, even, obviously you have Paris and everything. But obviously she's getting older, and so she can kind of live her life. But still, like, everything here is in Sydney. So, okay, so wow, that, like, you guys couldn't resolve that.
Yeah. How did it feel like for you? Let me reverse chairs. How did it feel for you to be in Sweden and America? Did you create a community that you have here in Australia?
The thing is, because when I was in those environments, I met people who were like brothers, family. So we were in our own world. So I loved it. I thrived because the people I was with, they were chasing the football dream. So we just had.
So it was a community of your own. You
one or two brothers,
community.
3 brothers. Like it was our own world.
Yeah.
So like I felt like, and obviously I'm talking to mom and dad. So for me, it was cool. I actually enjoyed it. I loved it because not only am I chasing my dream, I'm living my dream, but I'm now with 2 or 3 people, community, Black brothers
that
who
want the same thing.
Want the same thing. So when we would go through cultural shocks and tough moments, setbacks, at least we had each other to motivate each other, and we just created our own environment. So
nice. Cool.
But like obviously it's a bit different where you have your family, you have a home. Me, I could I could went from Sweden to Germany the next day.
And,
I could have picked up
met people who are doing similar things and connected with them.
I'm living in a suitcase, so it's a bit different. And so I was like, so you guys break up, and then what happens?
So we broke up, and then we spent a few months apart, and then we realized that we actually really wanted to be with one another. So we got back together and we made it work. And we're in Sydney now, and we have a little boy that is just
so cute.
Our everything. So the rest is history.
do you feel you guys are like best friends?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
like I think we talk about things that I probably wouldn't talk to anyone about, like in that kind of way.
Wow.
Confidant.
Okay. Yeah. So you have your what's your son's name again?
Orlando,
that's right. He's so Orlando. When we what was that Auntie Esther's birthday?
Auntie Esther's birthday? No, I wasn't there. I was in Kenya.
No, not Auntie Esther's birthday. Sorry. Remember when we had the sleepover?
It was Wanja's. Wanja's birthday. That's when following you everywhere.
Yeah, that's when I really spent time with Orlando, guys. Oh my days, such a cute hair. That's when, because I had just come from overseas. So I never really met him properly. Even your husband, your uncle, what's his name again?
Jody.
Uncle Jody.
Yeah.
So that was my. He's such. Even just seeing you hold him, I could just see the. You would just the love. When I see that, it's so cute.
It's
but
good. Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel like a baby like affects a relationship? Like,
a baby.
Can it bring you closer, or can it?
Both.
Okay.
I'll explain. Bring it closer because you have something in common that you both value so much. So you have that shared interest, and so you're both invested in that. Like, it's really good to have that. Not so great, it takes time away from you too. So it's no longer just about us. There's someone else in the picture who almost takes like,
everything.
Exactly. But I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's just about managing your time and actually allocating time for you two. And not just like Oh, we're just gonna hang out. No, you're not just gonna hang out. You actually have to make time for that. We're gonna hang out. Yeah.
Okay, cool, Auntie. I think this has been an amazing episode. Do you want to tell them a little bit about what you're doing now? Obviously, your product as well. Tell a little bit about that.
Yeah. I've got this really interesting product. It's a kitchen organizer, and it's made from bamboo, so very environmentally friendly. But the great thing about it is that it organizes your cling wrap, your foil, and your baking paper. I don't know whether if you're like me, you go open your drawer and you've got like boxes of like cling wrap, different sizes, whatever, they're all over the drawer, like they're so disorganized, and then you grab it out and you're trying to like cut it and it's just so messy. Well, this product will organize that for you. So you just slide your cling wrap in, your foil, your baking paper, and you pull it out and it looks amazing. It's super cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I reckon everyone should get it.
Yes, guys, the link in the bio for that is under, so make sure you go and cop that. I obviously seen the product and I think it's amazing because like you said, it's just that it's everything in one. Because even me, I do that. I'm looking, oh man, and then I'm going through, I'm looking for, Mom, where's the, I'm getting mad. But if we have that in the house, it's just easy. It's just there.
Yeah, and you can like hang it on the wall, open the drawer, or even just leave it on the bench top because it's so cute looking, man. But it's really good. Yeah.
And one thing, just even seeing you do that, I also want to say, you like you told me earlier, you're proud of me. I want to say I'm proud of you because even just hearing now when you told me about your parents' entrepreneurial spirit. So then when you were telling me that, I'm like, okay, now you see how the dots are now coming
connecting.
To me. So that's why you see how she's going and she wants to, of course you have a job or whatever the case is, but you're saying, look, how can I, live life on my terms? Like that's amazing. I think what you're doing, and the more you keep, putting it out there, so when it's crazy, you're talking about your parents and even also your brothers. They're also doing that thing too. Hustlers, huh?
Yeah.
You see? So like that example.
I love it. Yeah.
Example from
so
your
much
parents.
fun too. Like I love seeing how much you can achieve, pushing yourself and see how much you get. Like it's just so exciting. I feel like the most exciting period is actually when you're grinding, when you're pushing and you don't know what is gonna give back. Like that, I'm so excited to see what happens is almost for me more exciting than the money's coming in, we're there. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just that journey is I love it. Yeah, that adrenaline, I love it.
What I love about that, what you just said is, and that's why they always say the journey is the destination. That in between, like, and I feel like I'm in that process now with football, with what I'm doing. Like you said, that you're in the unknown because
I know
you don't know when it's gonna happen, but you're like, what I'm doing every single day, I'm so excited because of the potential.
Yes,
and you see the work that you're putting in every day,
and that drive, like you just want to wake up and put some more in, just pump in some more, so that when is it gonna pay? You don't know. It's so exciting. I love it.
But you're enjoying it.
Yes,
you're doing what you love.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. One thing I always ask women on this show is, what is a divine woman to you?
A divine woman I think, is a woman that knows who she is working to achieve what she wants, is giving and nurturing in her environment, and respects herself, takes care of herself, values herself. I don't know how to put it in one, but all of those things for me make a divine woman. Yeah.
Love it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this lovely episode. Auntie Lois, I call you Auntie Lois, Wambui.